Today, a few peculiar happenings. More coming right up. Caravans and more. Welcome to Black Spring on your Monday. Happy Monday to everyone. And shout out to the loyal patrons as well as the subscribers. Shout out to Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, Let the Truth Be Told, Cold War Jesus, AZ Infidel. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. And shout out to the loyal subscribers as well as the followers on Periscope. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys for all that you do and for taking care of the channelytics. And I want to say a warm shout out to everyone who was able to attend the live guest meeting with Right Winged Angel. So thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting the channel, supporting the guest, and just thank you so much for being you. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. And hope you guys are doing well on your weekend. With no doubt, we had a very full week, as if the week could not contain more dynamics and more more happenings, right? Just a flurry of things going on around the country in the news. And we're going to get to some specific things that are going on. And I hope you guys are doing well out there. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H. Good morning to you. Shout out to JT Waterman. Thank you so much. I'm doing well. Thank you guys. And I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes to get in. I just have maybe a bit of an opening statement that I would like to start out with, but it won't be anything too heavy. I really want to get right into the news and things that are developing. I mean, we have things that we end up cross-referencing so many things because so many things are linked and so many things are a product or advantageous of another story or just something that we're covering or that we're following. So I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Shout out to The Definition of Anarchy. Hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for all that you do. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial. Thank you so much for all that you do. And I will give you the top stories before we get started. We have, as you noticed, I opened up with a bit of a tune that I think it's great. I happen to be a Motown fan, and I guess that's not too revealing for you guys or too offensive on the age stage. But that was the beginning of Marvin Gaye's "Ain't That Peculiar." So I thought that was more than apropos for the dynamics and the confluence of things that are going on. So yeah, so I'll tell you the top stories, or maybe one additional story that I have, but we're going to talk a little bit about something we've talked about before, and it is peculiar at how this keeps coming back. You know, I've talked about how things kind of occur in waves, or we have things, we have this thing, this 4-year cycle called the election. Okay. And just like that election, everything else happens. It seems to be on a cyclical kind of a pattern, recurring of a pattern, or what you can even say the rhythm. You know, I think it's comparable to a rhythm. So we have migrant caravans on today. We have cultural invasions. We have Hillary Clinton's wish for Trump. And we may have one other story coming up. We may have a bit of a documentary on that might give you some more insight on some of the things that are happening around the country. And you know, I've talked about it here before. I don't know if you might say this is you might call this the tinfoil element. I'm not sure what the thing about tinfoil, it's tinfoil until it's proven, but usually the proof comes before the tinfoil. So I don't know how you spin that. I don't know how comprehensible that is for you, but if you're new to the channel, then you might get used to that. And also, as I said previously, with with the expansion and the growth, and it's nice to see the growth via Channelytics or via networking. I encourage everyone that's new to this channel to take a look at the community standards, and I am asking my moderators to be a little bit more vigilant, a little bit more active, because I that's it's not I'm not putting strenuous, demands out there, but I'm saying, if something doesn't appear to be right, you pretty much kind of get an inkling. They kind of get the benefit of the doubt, and that's it. It's just not, if there's too many things going on, I don't want to kick the can around or play games here. It's just this is not the time for that. So troll juice, not served cool, cold, or warm is what I say. And the rules of engagement are important wherever you go. So I thank you guys so much for coming in. If you're coming by, you're not sure if you want to come in, I thank you for considering Black Spring with Autumn on your Monday. So yes, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into these things and maybe one more. I would be more interested in some of the other. I will tell you things that are going to be coming up. I'm going to be doing a little bit more with the 2A issues that I think that are coming down the pike, or that some of the 2A bills, like the extreme gun control bills. I think the HR 5717. And I'm curious to see where that is, and even on some of the local levels. So I do think it's safe to say it seems that we are a bit under attack. We're under attack, and you've got to keep your eyes open, and just be aware of what's going on there. So shout out to everybody in the stream. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H, The Definition of Anarchy, and JT Waterman. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate you guys for taking care with the Channelytics. So yes, so just a couple of more minutes, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get started. But we are going to start with the narrative on the migrant caravans, and then we're going to go into the vetted source, the New American, the JBS is what we do here. That's what we do here. So we're going to cross-reference. I'm going to show you two sides of the coin, and then I can show you. There'll be some historical references and some other real references. And yeah, it proves this is basically going to be connecting some dots here. And then of course I always encourage you guys to fact check here, fact check me, fact check anywhere. And yeah, it's for you. It's not, that's for you. And I'm happy to share with you here, but that does not absolve you of what you can do to self-educate or to raise your edification. So I always encourage that around here. So thank you guys so much for all that you do. So let's go ahead and get started, because this migration issue, I'm not sure if that's going to die down. I'm not quite sure. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H. Thank you so much for sharing out the stream. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. So we have two narratives, and I appreciate you for throwing that caution to the wind. Yes, and that brings me back to my original, the original reindeer games template. If you make sure you hit that like or that thumbs up, thumbs down, share, please make sure you're still subscribed. These things are on a wave. It seems we're on a wonky wave here. And of course, as we get closer to the election, I do think that the games will be, they'll be a little bit more shrewd and a little bit more clever with the tactics. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and go into this first story. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hope you guys are doing well. So the first story we're going to take on the migrant caravans. And I can tell you right away that you've got your mainstream media, or you got your liberal source. You've got a liberal correspondent out of Mexico City that's reporting, and then I'm going to give you the story from our vetted source, which it's already latent with it's kind of heavy with the rhetoric that you've heard before. And I just want to provide a little bit of landscape here for you. So first and foremost, there was a document, and it was under the UN, and it was called the Migration Compact. I don't know if you guys are, if you're familiar with this show, that I actually did a video on the Migration Compact. And the Migration Compact generally advocated for free and regular migration. Free and regular migration. Now you can process that however you like, but that is the wording that was given, and of course it feeds into the narrative of the climate change. Okay, so it's amazing that, it's ironic that we would be having migration is going on during a pandemic. Okay, so let me just say this. Now, I just want to talk about this just for a second. I just want to give you a formal definition of this. Okay, the Global Compact for Migration is the first intergovernmentally negotiated agreement prepared under the auspices of you guessed it, the UN, United Nations, to cover all dimensions of international migration in a holistic and comprehensive manner. Okay, so in September 2016, the General Assembly decided, through the adoption of the New York Declaration for Refugees and Migrants, good old New York, the other bookend, to develop a global compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration. Okay? Now, the process to develop the compact started in April 2017. And of course, I guess according to this, the pages, it's all detailed. I can drop that link for you guys if you're interested in that. But that compact. All right. So I will tell you first and foremost that President Donald J. Trump did not sign this document, because essentially, when I can read you the objectives here, the Global Compact comprises 23 objectives for better managing migration at local, national, regional, and global levels. So you see how the UN is basically, this is a part, whether people with these, I don't, that when I say tin hat here, I'm using really thick sarcasm. I really am. But you have to realize that there are things that exist above our government. You have to realize the UN was created post World War II by FDR, and he provided the namesake and everything for this organization. At the time, it was generally established to, everybody was wanting to prevent or be united. They wanted to be a united front against the communist culture, or even Russia being able to have a grip, to gain grips on other nations. So that's the establishment of the UN itself. Well, that doesn't mean that there was no communist involved in that actual establishment, which there was. And we'll get to that another time. But I just want to give you just a little bit on this. I'm telling you, that's where this comes from. Okay, because you've already seen Europe's economies and their countries have been flooded already with people from all over the world. I believe that Germany really did themselves a disservice, and they did it all under what some people might refer to. They were all influenced by what they called what colonization and imperialism, or some people might draw it down to white guilt for us peasants. Okay, so I'll give you a few of the objectives and we'll move right into the actual story. All right. So the compact, I'm not going to give you all 23. It aims to mitigate the adverse drivers and structural factors that hinder people from building and maintaining sustainable livelihoods in their countries of origin. It intends to reduce the risk and vulnerabilities that migrants face at different stages of migration by respecting, protecting, and fulfilling their human right and providing them with care and assistance. It seeks to address legitimate concerns of states and communities while recognizing that societies are undergoing demographic, economic, social, and environmental changes at different scales that may have implications for and result from migration. It strives to create conducive conditions that enable all migrants to enrich our societies through their human, economic, and social capacities, and thus facilitate their contributions to sustainable development at the local, national, regional, and global levels. Okay, so that's giving you a little bit of what they're priming it as. They're all doing everything for the greater good. Even Bill Gates, he flies under the banner of human rights. It's all about providing these poor, disadvantaged, and disparaged communities and countries with opportunities, right? So that's where this whole, and I won't get into the biotech, the bioluminescence or any of that, but it's all of these elites that are behind, that have an interest in moving these agendas forward. And they're saying they're doing it all in the name of humanity. But the problem with that is, who do you think picks up the tab when you have free, orderly, and regular migration? Who's going to pick up that tab? That is for free. There's no right or wrong answers. Well, technically there is, but you won't suffer any consequences. You won't suffer whether you get it wrong, right or wrong. Well, I find it's interesting that that this would be coming up again. So if you go back to the fall of 2018, the U.S. southern border had a surge of migrants coming up. You guys remember all those photos and all of the tear gassing and the holding back and shutting down the streets in certain areas of the international crossings. That was the fall of 2018. What else happened in 2018? Those are midterm elections. AOC went down and got a couple of photo ops, grasping and clinging to a fence. I mean, it was totally political. Now, what's coming up now? We have an election less than 40 days away. So, and you have like the bookends of America they're trying to provide funding for however you want to spend it, illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call it. That's what a lot of these liberal states and liberal governments are advocating for. And many of them have successfully done it with their citizens' tax dollars. They've already invested in those that are coming over the border in the manner that they've been coming. So there's that. So there's a little bit of background there. I can drop the link for you, but that's definitely, you can find just about anything you want at the UN.org. But their agenda, if you want to know what the liberal agenda is, all you have to do is look at what the UN agenda, their 2030 agenda. You can look at the Agenda 2021 agenda. And guess who also parents what the UN also parents the WHO organization. So you see all these things are working in tandem with each other, or working together. So, timing is everything. And as I said before, President Trump did not sign the free and regular migration compact, courtesy of the UN, that it was due by the end of 2018. And, he was under all kinds of fire. He was under all kinds of fire about the people at the border. And of course, you got the kids in the cages narrative. They keep that one on cycle, kind of like the tour to Charlottesville, the kids in the cages, all of this, many of these things that were already in motion. Okay. Already established prior to him coming into office. But I'm getting out of that, but I'm saying that is the landscape for these caravans. And then of course there were also other narratives, the NGOs have also, the NGOs were also involved in a lot of the and a lot of the sponsorship and making promises to these migrants. I'll call them migrants because that's what they are. But they don't have you can't just come to the US without any documents. You can't. US citizens are not allowed to do that in other nations. And then we have our own issues here. So not I'll keep going here. So I want to go ahead and give you the story from the LA Times. This is coming from an LA correspondent who is apparently based in Mexico City. So I'm going to give you that, and then I'm going to take you to our vetted source, the New American, and I'll give you that. But you have a little bit of landscaping there if you were not aware. And then, of course, I can also drop the Global Compact for Migration into the box for you. So shout out to everybody in the stream. So here we go. I also use a little bit of nifty names around. Well, not nifty names. I might even use another name for the pandemic. Pandemic CV, le COVID-19. I'll use whatever I need to for algorithm's sake. So what you see before you, which I hope you see that before you, this is from LA Times. Another migrant caravan heads toward the United States. Skeptics ask, why now? Skeptics. Are you a skeptic? Okay, so apparently in this photo, you see this is Honduran migrants hoping to reach the United States rest in Entre Rios, Guatemala, after crossing the border from Honduras on Thursday. So this is what you have. So this is written by Kate Lithison and Paulo Cirado. So this was written on the 2nd. This is out of Mexico City. She's based out of Mexico City. All right, as a new caravan of about 2,000 Honduran migrants pushed north through Central America toward the United States this week, people throughout the region were asking the question, why? Why now? Okay, some political analysts and government leaders are suspicious of the caravan's timing a month before the U.S. presidential vote. Isn't that pretty much spot on? I mean, it is, right? It's very alarming. Okay, all right, so before the U.S. presidential vote, given that a similar mass migration weeks before the 2018 midterm elections became a major campaign issue used by President Trump and other Republicans to drive immigration-wary supporters to the polls. Now, see, here you go. They're already priming it. You can barely get your thoughts warmed up before they're already mentioning the president and Republicans. Okay. So as you can see, okay, according to this, the Mexican president Andrés Manuel López Obrador said Friday that there might be political motives behind the new caravan, though he acknowledged he did not have, quote, all the elements, end quote, to support that belief. Now, quote, it's a matter that I believe is linked to the U.S. election, end quote. López Obrador told journalists at his daily news conference, quote, it is very weird, very strange that the caravan set out on the eve of the vote, end quote. Many people are openly toying with opinions about the caravan, including an academic who questioned whether Honduras' ruling party might have played a role in organizing the caravan, and members of the Honduran government who have blamed diverse forces, including liberal nonprofits, criminal groups, and, you guessed it, the billionaire philanthropist George Soros. There is no public evidence that the latest caravan or any earlier iterations were organized by people or groups trying to influence U.S. elections. So here you go. You got the propaganda and the rhetoric. She's already trying to establish that she's already saying there's no public. Right. It's not public. Anything that's done illegally is not usually public, right? You don't usually let that slip out, right? That you're organizing either across the border or that there are global NGOs or there's financiers anywhere that could be contributing to this in such a pivotal election time. But we have seen this before. And who knows, it may be used to, look, this is the thing. Everything in the book is being thrown at this country, no matter what side you think you're on or what your spectrum of politics is. Okay. We've got the pandemic going on. We've already got our own violence and our own riots in the streets. We've got our own insurgents already. So what else could be used to attack the status or to attack the current administration other than, oh, well, he's anti-immigrant? So I'm wondering if that's going to start cycling in the news. You probably pay attention to some of the press conferences to come. But here again, this writer based out of Mexico City is trying to establish that there's no public evidence. Well, there never is any public. It's always a leak. There's enough word of mouth and enough people that work in our government or work as litigators or work as immigration lawyers to tell you that there is evidence that they actually end up taking responsibility, like even for the children, for example. You can go as far north in North LA, and you can find into Ventura County where you might find an attorney that basically they have the kids make a phone call and all the parent wants to know, did you make it? So this, of course, there's no public evidence. Of course, not that you want to get out. That's she's trying to establish that. So several migrants said speculation about their timing or motives distracts from the reasons that they are fleeing Honduras: entrenched poverty, endemic violence, and overt government corruption, all of which have grown worse during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, well, we have a lot of that going on here, whether it's manufactured or whether it's provocateur, whatever it is, we have that here as well. So if it's distracting from their campaign, which there again, to me, it distracts motives. It distracts. What do you distract from? What? All of a sudden they had these conditions just came about. These conditions just became unbearable within the last 40 days out of the trilateral countries. I don't know. You do the math. Quote, "This isn't a political movement and we don't care about the elections in any other country," end quote, said a caravan member named Ariel, who is an administrator of the WhatsApp group in which migrants have organized themselves. Quote, "There are a lot of people that are masters at WhatsApp, and you have no idea that WhatsApp is a primary device for people all over the world. But it seems that this is a major network for migrants." As it stated here, quote, "We're dying of hunger and are just looking for a country that can offer us life with dignity." On Thursday, members of the latest caravan maneuvered past immigration officials to enter Guatemala before beginning the several-day trek toward the Mexican border. Ariel, a 26-year-old who asked to be identified only by his first name because he fears retribution from authorities back home, said he decided to join the caravan because he was kidnapped for ransom 5 months ago by police officers. He said he learned about the caravan forming on social media. As for its timing of the caravan, he said migrants left this week because until a few weeks ago, the country's borders were closed as the pandemic precaution. So this is the thing. Why would they be open now? I mean, the U.S. is not, according to the media, the U.S. we're number 2, maybe. You can get your fact check book out if you want. Maybe we're number 2 in the amount of infections. So why would they open the borders? I'm just saying the timing is everything. This is the pandemic. It's less than 40 days to the U.S. election. Okay, so this is just days. Honduras confirmed that its first cases on March 10th. The president, Juan Orlando Hernandez, ordered a near complete lockdown of the country, closing its borders and issuing a curfew that required people to stay in their homes except for a few hours each week. Those swift actions may have spared Hondurans from a mass outbreak. The nation has just seen over 2,380 deaths, according to the data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. But human rights activists say officials in Honduras have used the curfew to justify a military crackdown, and more than 63,000 people have been arrested for breaking curfew in recent months, including journalists and activists. Okay, many businesses have closed, hunger is widespread, and evictions have spiked, forcing families into the streets. Okay, I'm just wondering how much different, do we not have any of that happening here? I mean, do we not have any of those same conditions here. I don't care, red, blue state, wherever you could. I would say you're going to find it more likely in the blue states, especially our bookend states like California, New York. You can find plenty of people on the streets, plenty of poverty, plenty of moratorium ending poverty. California is 29% of the unemployment of the nation's unemployment rate. So is there a chance for poverty here in the US under these conditions, the lockdowns? I mean, just saying. Just saying. So I'll go ahead and conclude this one here because I just want to point out I just want to give you a little bit of the rhetoric here, the propaganda here. The main piece, we're pretty much to the end of this one. But the thing about it is, you're going to get to it in just a second. Okay. So Hernandez, who several years ago admitted that his campaign had been funded in part by millions of dollars stolen from the country's Social Security Institute, and who was recently named by U.S. prosecutors as co-conspirators in drug trafficking case against his younger brother, has been linked to another corruption scandal. A recent government audit of the Honduran agency tasked with procuring medical supplies to fight the pandemic found tens of millions of dollars wasted. Where's the money? Read large banners that have sprung up across the country in recent months. Migrants have been leaving the country in large groups since at least 2017, inspired in part by annual, quote, Stations of the Cross, end quote, processions in Mexico, where activists marched during Lent to bring attention to the country's harsh immigration enforcement. They say that there is safety in numbers and that traveling together means they don't have to pay smugglers for their protection. So here again, they're setting up the entire victimhood. They're pulling on your heartstrings and telling you the conditions of the challenges of what it means by doing some type of migration, illegal migration. Says the caravans didn't capture widespread U.S. attention until 2018, when Trump began frequently tweeting about them, saying they proved the U.S. needed to build a border wall when a group of 7,000 mostly Central American migrants headed north shortly before the midterm elections. Trump seized on the issue and sent soldiers to the border. Well, see, Trump tweeting, that's all they've talked about. And there's nothing criminal about Trump tweeting, and he's tweeting the truth about what needs to happen. Everybody in the world has their own standards for their borders. And the thing about it is, it's the U.S. taxpayer that ends up footing the bill. And it's our own economy that suffers when you have people coming here with either little or no skill and the language barrier. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are or even what your aptitude is. For the average person, it takes a while to assimilate into anyone's culture. But why would that be of interest during a pandemic and then a U.S. election? Those two things are pretty loaded. Those two circumstances are pretty loaded. And then, of course, Trump is their all occasion demon, all occasion blame everybody. Shout out to Anthony Scioli. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Celia as I want to be. Thank you guys so much. This is a bit wordy, but I'll try not to interrupt, but I'm just trying to connect a couple of dots here and then we'll move on. So according to this, many of the migrants in that caravan ended up stranded in Tijuana and the other borders cities after the Trump administration issued a rule requiring asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for their immigration court cases in the U.S. Some headed back to Honduras, while others built lives in Mexico. It is unclear whether the current caravan will make it into Mexico. Guatemala President Alejandro Giammattei said in a video address Thursday that migrants who are apprehended will be deported. Quote, the order has been given to detain all those who entered illegally and return them to the border of their country, end quote, he said. Quote, we will not allow any foreigner who has used illegal methods to enter the country to think that they have the right to come and infect us and put us at serious risk, end quote. While Lopez Obrador said Mexicans, quote, do not want confrontation, end quote. His immigration agency released a statement Thursday saying that the migrants represent a health risk and warned that any foreigner who threatened public health could be imprisoned. Lopez Obrador, who had advocated a more humane approach to migrants, adopted much harsher tactics after, guess, Trump threatened to impose tariffs on Mexican imports if Mexico didn't stop the migrants. In January, when a different caravan approached the Guatemala-Mexican border, National Guard troops in riot gear blocked their way. Here it comes, and fired tear gas canisters, and hundreds of people were put on planes and bussed back to Honduras. All right, so in the final segment on this one, it's Mania Platero, a migrant activist in Honduras, said the January caravan was proof that the caravans are not connected to U.S. politics, although she acknowledged there are interest groups that try to take advantage of them. Quote, people on all sides use them, end quote. She said of the migrants, quote, these poor people have become cannon fodder, end quote. So there you go. Now you're left with your heartstrings are on the floor. You know, you cap it off, end with they're being used as cannon fodder. So yes, they are being used as cannon fodder, but they're not the only ones. The Black community is used as cannon fodder. But in this case, for them to say there's no public evidence and for them to make it seem like those people were just down at the border, you know, with on hands and knees and quietly waiting to present a case of asylum, that's not true either. Nor were they waiting there with mops and brooms saying that they would work with a translation card or a piece of cardboard saying they were ready to work in the States. That is not how these things occur. That is a false narrative and false propaganda. And the thing about it is a lot of people, they always try to say, well, they can claim asylum. But, you know, claiming asylum is a special, when it comes to international law, that's a special designation. Those are usually cases that are reserved for places of conflict. What conflict is going on in the trilateral communities? And the U.S. is already sending money to these. They're already getting some level of foreign aid from the U.S. Now, the corruption, I don't know, or is the U.S. supposed to be the watchdog for everyone, plus send U.S. taxpayer money? The U.S. already sends aid to these countries, but then you're going to send aid to the countries and then have them illegally cross into this country and cause economic issues or suppress the economy for the people here, or add to the pandemic numbers here, or add to the poverty here, suppress the wages, alienate those who are already looking for jobs, minorities that are here already, whether they're Latinos or whether they're Blacks or African Americans. That all has an effect on the American economy. So when they talk about asylum and who can claim asylum, it's legally for them. There's international law has its own standards, and none of these liberal media people are given presenting the actual case law. They're not presenting it at all. There are places of conflict in the world like Chad, Lebanon, places in Northern Ireland. These places have a reserve. They actually have the case that's already established for asylum, but it's not a case that's reserved that you can just step up and claim. Everybody cannot claim asylum or even claim a refugee status. You can't. But it's going to be twisted in the media. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So I'll move on to that. So there's your LA Times, okay? You got your LA Times. That's not a vetted source of mine, but as you can see, it was very much primed in a position, an anti-Trump position, an anti-legal immigration. And that's another thing that they conflate. They're good at conflating things. They conflate legal immigration versus illegal alien status. You got to get to one status before you get to another. Before you can become an immigrant, you have to, there's some level of process that you have to go through. And that's where the illegal part comes in, is when you don't actually do that. When you just come here and end up in the corridors of America and taxpayer money is being spent. I mean, America has had enough. That's one of the reasons why Donald Trump ran, and that's why I think people elected him, is because the American people are tired of subsidizing the entire world, or at least we've been told all this foreign aid. Who did they ask for foreign aid? Who did they get the approval from the U.S., from the American people, from the taxpayers on some of this foreign aid? Or is it just boomeranging back into their pockets? I mean, look, our taxpayer money is being held up right now. The Speaker Pelosi, she acts as if those are her funds. She's acting as if she's negotiating for one of her wine vineyards. It's not her money. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Shout out to Crazy Chick Sheena. Thank you guys so much for coming in. So with that said, so again, that came out of the LA Times. But as always, the vetted source, the New American, of course, you'll find tons of narratives on this, but the facts, the policies, the migration compact, those things exist. Trump did not sign the migration compact. And see, this is where this whole one world order agenda is real. People can give you a tin hat if they want, but it won't. If they do, tell them to enjoy the shadows. Enjoy the shadows on your wall, because they're not going away. Neither are these migrants, because they're going to continue to come through. And it's not the thing that the other narrative is. They want you to believe that it's just people coming out of the trilateral countries. And I rarely quote Lindsey Graham, but I'm going to paraphrase as best as I can. You can fact check this. Lindsey Graham took a trip to the border himself, and I think he was able to identify something close to 60 or 60 plus nations that were represented at the border. So when they try that race card and try to say, oh, it's just the Hispanic and the Latina community. No, it's not. They've even had people from China. There's people from Saudis. You name it. I mean, 63 up to 60 plus countries represented at the border. You do the math. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So I'm going to go ahead and take you over to our vetted source from the New American. So I'm not going to stay much longer on that, because that's a long deal, but it's also going to be used they're going to weaponize the immigration issue. They're going to bring it back out. And the other thing is, the other narrative that they tried to pull in 2018 is, they want to make those people were not peacefully. They were throwing projectiles and rocks and everything before those agents had to contain the situation. They had to shut it down, because our U.S. border patrols and our people on the line were getting attacked trying to defend the border. So they want to make it seem like that they were just launching them at people, that they were just doing this out of some type of, out of the spite or out of the ire of Donald Trump. Yeah, I swear they never stop cycling the same story. So I would imagine that that's going to be the next thing that comes up, which I would imagine he's going to need to, if there is another debate, that they're going to need to help him redirect and just let Biden just keep talking. Let him talk, but redirect and get him back on track, or you get your platform out there. Don't let him shut you down with the nonsense, with the minutia, with the projecting the white supremacy. So, I mean, everything that they charge this man with is things that the Democrat Party have been doing for 60 plus years. You can go beyond that, 100 years above. He's got to denounce white supremacy, yet Biden doesn't need to denounce anything or absolve himself of anything that he did in the 60s, or anything he said on the floor, or his 94 crime bill. He doesn't have to do any of that. He just has to stay there and demonize Trump for 90 minutes with the help of Chris Wallace or whomever else they might put up there. So shout out to everybody in the stream. So with that said, I'm going to I know I'm getting stuck on that one, but I want to just give you some more valuable info on that. Shout out to you. I'm going to read a comment here from Celia's I Want to Be. Says Border Patrol rounded up 35 illegals in my county over the weekend. Landlords are crying about getting paid. You see what I mean? That's why I talk about doing your due diligence on these candidates. If they're if you got Republicans voting like Democrats, then what good are they? They're not. They're they fall into their own brew, which is the Rhino brew. So here we go. I'm going to bring you the last piece on that. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for coming in. But I entitled this the thumbnail just in time for the election. Got this whole confluence of things, this gumbo of chaos. It's like it's just everything is being thrown. If they throw it at Trump, they're throwing it at America. So that's the thing. If people, Trump supporters, America supporters. You support America. Support America. Is that a dirty word? Say the country's name, America. I'm not saying say their name. I'm not, say the country's name. This is where you're from. And I think Trump has said it before. He said it before. They're after me. They're after me because I am fighting for you. Well, guess what's beyond him? Shout out to everybody in the stream. All right, so we're going to go on over really quickly to, all right, so apparently Guatemala stops the caravan and buses them back home. So that's coming from our vetted source, The New American. Thank you so much. Thanks to our friends over at The New American. So this one is written by Harcourt Kirkwood. So I just want to give you a little bit of info on our friends at the JBS. All right. So just FYI, this segment of our show is brought to you by our good friends at the John Birch Society. Less government, more responsibility, and with God's help, a better world. The JBS is a constitutional and educational organization that's been around for over 60 years, dedicated to upholding and defending the Constitution and working to preserve our freedoms and liberties in this country. The JBS does not endorse any political party or candidates. Rather, it focuses on the education, training, and development of the American voters. How about that? Education. Education starts with us, folks. And I don't mean to say that in the Joe Biden vernacular, but folks, here's the deal. Okay, here we are. All right. So according to what you see before you, you have a picture of apparently they're carrying some form of a club and shield here. All right, so this is scrolling quite a bit fast. All right, the Honduran, quote, migrant caravan attempting to enter the U.S. across its frontier with Mexico has failed. Guatemalan authorities blocked the path of some 1,000 illegal aliens who, despite the global pandemic, thought they would simply march north unimpeded. The caravanners, the quote caravanners, were wrong. By 5 a.m. Saturday morning, they were bussed back home. Okay, so here it comes here, according to the New American, the TNA, and that means they walked a long way for nothing, as the Associated Press reported on Friday, and they didn't much care if they contracted or spread the dreaded Asiatic pathogen. The threat from Guatemala to stop them and send them home didn't deter the migrants or the migrants. Okay. Threats. Okay, so of course we've already gone over from the threats, so we won't go into that. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the actual apprehensions. So according to this, actually Guatemala could deny them, quote, the right to go on, and did. AP reported. Helpfully, the Guatemalan authorities provided transportation back across the border. So there again, by 5 a.m. Saturday, none of the 1,000 or so migrants who had been stalled by police and soldiers along the stretch of the rural highway remained. The police said that hours earlier that the migrants had boarded buses and army trucks to be taken back to the border. Small groups of fewer than 10 migrants each could still be found walking along the highway before the roadblock Saturday morning. All right, so the latest apprehensions at the border, the caravan aside, the number of illegal U.S. border agents are apprehending is increasing. Okay, even though Trump has lauded Obrador and I guess some of the Honduras officials, government officials, for their job that they were doing on the border. I guess I'm not sure if I would imagine maybe they've been affected by the pandemic as well. So maybe that's a contributing factor. So it's increasing. The border apprehensions are increasing despite the threat of this pandemic. So the Border Patrol bagged just shy of 50,000 illegal aliens in August, a 21.4% increase over July, and July figure was about 24% higher than June's. The figure of August is a massive increase over April's 17,086, the lowest number of apprehensions since April of 2017. So far this year, the border agents have apprehended 399,770 illegals. As September's numbers will be published in the next week or so. If the agents apprehend migrants at the rate they entered in August, about 1,650 per day, the total caught for the fiscal year ending September 30th will be nearly 500,000. Bad as that figure sounds, it's about half of what was last year, almost 1 million. Apparently, the migrants are unafraid to contract and don't care if they spread the potentially dangerous virus, which U.S. officials believe might have escaped from a poorly run lab in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. A U.S. taxpayer subsidized the shoddy operation through Dr. Fauci's infectious disease operation. So we're rounding out on that. So, if you follow those stats, you might follow the stats on the tick, on the surge on those numbers. Good morning, hey Vapor. Nice to see you. How are you? Thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. So yes, we have a surge in our apprehensions at the border, and who knows? That's what I'm saying. It's very apropos that this is happening with the election coming up. I'm saying these things happen in waves. So here comes another wave, right? All right, so we're going to move on we're going to change just for a change of pace. Shout out to everybody in the stream. I'm seeing some new faces. Thank you guys so much for catching the live today. I really appreciate all you guys and all that you do around here. But I thought it was very peculiar that this is happening, which of course the mainstream media will tell you there's no coincidence here. There's no public evidence that anything's going on at that border. There's nothing going on there. Everything's fine. Don't talk. And for my final thought on that, if you remember last year, Trump, I'm paraphrasing, to the UN Assembly told them that the future belongs to patriots and not the globalists. He challenged them to look to the future and prosperity of their own nations. And shortly after that, yours truly, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, announced that the impeachment inquiry would commence. All right, guys, I appreciate you for enduring that, but we are going to move on to a little bit of a culture, I call it culture invasion. A little bit sad, but just a little bit of I call it a palate cleanser. We have palate cleansing on, or I call it a palate cleanser. This is self-destruction is what I say. So we're going to have a look at something. They used to say Barbie, they used to say that Barbie has everything, right? Well, let's see what she's been up to lately. Shout out to everybody in the stream. All right. So this is, you might call this is not the palate cleanser you were thinking about. It's not a spritzer or even a soda or it's not nothing that refreshing, but not refreshing at all. So what you see before you looks like Barbie, trans American Barbie. And guess what Barbie's wearing? Barbie has Black Trans Lives Matter. She's a Black Trans Lives Matter with a fist on her laptop. She's well connected, broad shoulders, you name it. Her hair, you know, you name it. But can you imagine the culture of this place? I'm just saying. As a matter of fact, I will drop the link. Okay, so you guys are, if you don't, you guys are being Black Spring Black Spring terrorism. Okay, you're about to get a rant, but do you see the culture of this? Do you see this as, what is it about this effemination? Effemination. Effemination. You just dropped the nation. What about it? Look at Barbie. In fact, there's an abortion Barbie. I mean, trans American Barbie. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, we are being transformed right before your very eyes. They say they want to transform America. It's already happening. It's already happening. This is what they're offering to the Black community. If you're in the Black community and you're listening, shout out to you. But you know, I have to give the tough love around here. That's all that's what you get. But this is not, do you see? Anything that's self-destructive is what they promote. What do you think that trans American Barbie does? What does that do for the young man, the young boy? Does that make him want to embrace his natural self? I mean, what do you think? What do you think? Are young boys going to want to buy a trans American Barbie? Are you going to be able to talk about what that means without talking about sexuality? Do you think you can do these things? You can have these, you can conflate all of these issues and avoid the other, right? I'm saying we're becoming a secular nation. That's a transformation too. Our values. It's like the elite want to tell you when you can cry and who can be a martyr. You know, these communist tactics, they teach people how to create martyrs and they create them. But it's usually something that's more self-destructive. They'll put something out that's on the self-destructive. Usually when they push a Black person to the front, it's usually somebody that's co-signing on something that's self-destructive or something that's going to disrupt the family. They're always trying to euphemize. Look what they're doing. They're euphemizing sexuality and bringing it to children. They're hypersexualizing things. You cannot talk about certain issues without talking about sexuality. You cannot. And they say, oh, they should just be themselves. But I'm just saying, I just thought this was, and there's also an abortion Barbie. I don't know if I have the abortion Barbie with me, but I'm just saying this is what's, I don't know if she's on the shelves or not, but she's coming to a store near you. Or she's probably already in the store. You just haven't come across it yet. So shout out to everybody in the stream. These are amazing times, right? All right. So I'm going to take that down for you. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So we're going to go to another story. I hope you guys are doing well out there. All right. So we're going to move on and move out of that into something that may not feel any better, but we've got, of course, HRC. She has a wish for Trump. And I guess her assistants and her, I don't know, does she still have a staff? You know, whoa, yeah. Shout out to Celia. He says, you saw a commercial for men's tampons. You got me. You know, yes. and Gillette, the best a man can get, right? But we'll go. You know, we probably could spend a whole segment on cultural things, but shout out to you. Let's see, Vapor. Hey, Vapor says yesterday it's a peaceful demonstration for Trump in Fresno. Well, you know, it's happening. And then, you know, I saw some people selling things yesterday, some Trump gear, and they weren't being attacked. Imagine that. Hello, troll for me, baby, too. Shout out to you. All right, so we're going to move on to HRC and her wish for Trump. Hope you guys are doing well out there. So what you see before you is coming from Life News is pretty consistent. I think they're pretty consistent with their news. So we have lifenews.com that says Hillary Clinton campaign spokesman on President Trump's corona quote, I hope he dies, end quote. It's written by Stephen Ertelt. Okay. There's a little bit from this figure. Okay. So according to this, Democrats told America during the 2016 campaign that, quote, Trump, love Trump's hate, end quote. But today, hate Trump's love, as some Democrats are wishing ill on President Donald Trump after he announced he had tested positive for the CV. There have been thousands of horrific tweets in response to the president and First Lady Melania Trump announcing their positive test. But the worst was probably the one from Zahra Rahim, the former campaign spokeswoman for Hillary Clinton. Quote, I hope he dies, the former Obama White House staffer said. One conservative on Twitter captured a screenshot of the tweet and responded, quote, this isn't some random Twitter troll. Zahra worked with Hillary Clinton and former President Barack Obama. Disturbed, evil Democrats are cheering right now, end quote. So as you can see before you on the screen, you've got the tweets, you've got these dark souls is what I think of them. You know, they're doing their thing, doing what trolls do. Okay, so according to this Zahra Rahim, it's been against her moral identity to tweet this for the past 4 years. But I hope he, twinkle, twinkle, dies, twinkle. See, moral. Okay. Got it. I got it. I'm tracking. Okay. As of press time for this article, Clinton has not issued any rebuke to her former spokeswoman or condemned the tweet in any way. But Rahim was alone. Max Berger, a former Elizabeth Warren campaign staffer, showed this level of hate as well, saying Trump, quote, did this to himself, end quote, by inflicting this same misfortune upon millions of others, end quote. Quote, he's a corrupt white supremacist criminal who's responsible for more American deaths than 9/11 and the wars in Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, and World War II combined. No one should feel bad for him, end quote. The disgusting tweet added. So there, you know, it's kind of thick, but that's what you get. No one's surprised. I don't think. Are you guys surprised? Shout out to Patrick Jane Forums. Shout out to Killer Rail Channels and Patrick Jane Forums. Thank you so much. All right, I'll read some comments here. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. I see that. A movie. JT Waterman says, it is likely to not be the best man can get nowadays, but back in the day, that's what their gimmick was. Yeah, I might even play that for you guys. It was interesting. I think it actually was done out of Canada. So I might play that for you guys just so you can see, it's the culture wars is going. But, but you have a lot of these liberal states are passing. They're pushing. We've talked about this before. HR 5 is the Equality Act. And that's going to be right on the desk of the Harris campaign. Did I say Harris? The Biden-Harris campaign. HR 5 and HR 9 are going to be at the top of their agenda, along with the extreme gun control, HR 5717, and possibly the HR 6666. You know, they're telling you what they're doing. They're telling you what they want. All right. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So just for kicks, I might try to find that. I might try to grab that commercial for you. They probably haven't pulled it. I doubt if they will pull it. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Hope you enjoyed your weekend, and it looks like more people are getting involved with. Are you guys familiar with the Walk Away campaign? It's Brendan Strock. It's his organization. I think DC is on a pretty full week of events. Let's see. Hope you guys are doing well out there. So I'm gonna play this commercial. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do the Shaving Dad commercial. You may have seen it before, but you might be interested in seeing it now. Let's see. Okay, yes, we're going to do it. Shout out to everybody in the stream. It's Entertainment Tonight, sponsored commercial here. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to share this with you. All right. Yeah, Newsom. Felicia Lockhart Show. Shout out to you. Yes. And Bobby Rush authored that bill. Felicia Lockhart, straight out of Chicago, right? Everything that comes out of Chicago has a sting to it, right? And you know what? For the Black community, it always seems like they're always using one of us to destroy us. What did I say? They always love to use Black people to sell other people a crap sandwich. And this is, to me, that's no different. So let's go to the Gillette commercial. Let's do it. A bit of a palate cleanser there for you. I'll get you through some ads here, and we'll play this one. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hope you guys are doing well on your Monday. Thank you guys once again. Thanks so much for everybody that could come out. For the live guest stream yesterday. Thank you so much. So we're going to have this commercial for you.
That called out men to be better in the wake of the Me Too movement, shying away from social issues. Their new ad showcases Samson Brown as he does his first shave with his dad.
Growing up, I was always trying to figure out what kind of man I wanted to become, and I'm still trying to figure out what kind of man that I want to become. I always knew I was different. I didn't know that there was a term for the type of person that I was. I went into my transition just wanting to be happy. I'm glad I'm at the point where I'm able to shave. South, north, east, west, never in a hurry.
Yeah.
Right.
Warm. Now don't be scared. Don't be scared. Shaving is about being confident. Oh, you're doing fine. You are doing fine.
I'm at the point in my manhood where I'm actually happy. It's not just myself transitioning, it's everybody around me transitioning.
Yeah, so Samson wrote on Facebook after the commercial was released, I shot this ad for Gillette and wanted to include my father, who's been one of my greatest supporters throughout my transition, encouraging me to be confident and live authentically as my best self. With the help of Gillette, I was able to share an important milestone in every man's life with my father. This moment overwhelmed me during filming, and again today, seeing the ad since it's been launched. I'm confident that this ad will encourage many of my trans siblings and fill them with the knowledge that our existence in this world can be filled with love and support we deserve. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people are commenting on the Facebook post, and you think you're going to see the trolls come out. There's actually pretty much like full support for this, and people are actually commenting, wow, I can't believe that the comments are in full support of this, which they should be. But we know the world that we live in, especially in social media.
I'm still on the fence about woke advertising. They're still selling razors. It is. Right. It's taking a social conscious for profit, right? So it's not lost. I mean, it's the same thing with Nike. All of a sudden, everybody loved Nike and we forgot all the terrible things that they had done, right? So it's like, this is a for profit. You are being sold something. And they're doubling down on their sort of, woke advertising. Right. The first round that they did with the guys and the kids fighting, I thought it looked like parody. I thought that was, it was ridiculous. It was such a misstep in who they were trying to talk about and who they were trying to talk to. And they've come back now with this. And I think that if you're going to do something, this is what you do. Okay, it's real.
Right.
One person. Yeah. Anybody can identify with this because you're looking at a real person. It's a real moment with the guy's real dad. Okay, right. Like you can identify with this regardless. Those people in that last ad that Gillette did, I've never met one of those guys. Right. Yeah, people that they were saying you shouldn't be. I'm like, I don't know those people. But yet you're trying to tell me that I'm one of those people.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much once again for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So there you go. You had that. That's not a new commercial, by the way. So, and nor am I purporting that it is a new commercial. It is a part of the, as he just described it, as the woke culture. But it's certainly in the spirit of the trans culture right now. And of course, you've got your own T-shirts. There's probably transgender studies offered right now. So that's a part of what's going on out there. So shout out to everybody in the stream. Okay. All right. What else do we have? So yes, we have that. I was actually going to open this up just a little bit, see if anyone had any comments. So we kind of got around to a couple of things. Actually, what I would like to get into, let's just do this and then we'll cap this. We'll go ahead and cap this particular segment. This is also the week of what I believe is the VP debates, right? Can I get a 1 for those of you that are going to be watching? Shout out to the Native Conservative. Thank you, Native Conservative, for sharing out the stream. I really appreciate it. If you guys aren't familiar with the Native Conservative, you might get over to his channel and see what's happening there. I'm sure you'll find a kindred spirit there, and is great content and great concern for the nation as well as the community. So definitely going to be one to watch and one to keep an eye on. So with that said, let's just have a look quick. I mean, these debates are coming up very quickly. This month is flying out of here. So we might have a little bit of a video here we're going to share with you. It's a Liz Peek 2020 VP debate, why this is the one that matters more than most. So let's have a quick look at that, and I'm going to open it up for your guys' comments. So if there's a possibility, I will try to host an event on Wednesday. So I'm working on that logistics. So hang in there. I thank you guys so much, and maybe you guys will meet me at the debate at the VP debate on Wednesday. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys up to. Thank you so much to Native Conservative. Shout out to you. You guys, as I said previously, the Native Conservative is here right now in the stream. So thank you so much for throwing caution to the wind. And you guys definitely want to get over and check out the Native Conservatives page and his message and everything. He's well composed, and I think he's more than genuine. So get over there and check it out for sure. Shout out to you, the Native Conservative. Thank you so much for coming on. So let's have a look at what's in the buzz here. Oops. All right. A little bit of
I had my dream career.
Trickery there. So we're going to play this. Give me just a second here. I got a little crafty here with the ad. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to everybody in the stream. And yes, I always encourage you guys to get to know each other in these times. So here we are.
For their cultural revolution and move towards socialism. But does a Biden-Harris presidency truly pose a threat to the American way of life?
RNC Senior Communication Advisor of Black Media Affairs, Paris Sennard, joins us now with his answer. Paris, busy night for you. We appreciate you getting up early with us after a late night for you. Do you think the message of Tim Scott and Nikki Haley that a Biden-Harris presidency would be dangerous for America really resonated with those voters that are still undecided?
I think it did, and thank you for having me on the show this morning. I think it connected with those independent, free-thinking voters because they don't want to hear a depressing view of America. What they want to hear are the facts. They want to hear what this president has done and understand the contrast between the two policies and the two action initiatives of that of Joe Biden and President Trump. And when laid out with the facts, like we heard last night from Ambassador Haley and from Senator Scott and others on the stage, they are able to connect in a way that Americans appreciate because they gave it with true passion, personal story, and with facts. And that is what the independent, free-thinking voter wants to know. What exactly did President Trump do? And how has his policies impacted me? And what would it be like under a Biden administration? That was artfully articulated last night.
Let's talk about Georgia State Representative Vernon Jones here for a second. Lifelong Democrat, as you know,
Right.
making the case
Yes.
for Republicans as the party for everyone. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Sure.
But I have news for Joe Biden. We are free. We are free people with free minds. And I'm part of a large and growing segment of the Black community who are independent thinkers, and we believe that Donald Trump is the president that America needs to lead us forward.
How much do you think hearing that message will resonate within the African American community?
I think it's going to resonate quite well because, number one, Representative Jones is a Democrat. He's a lifelong Democrat who's not changing his party registration, but he's still supporting President Trump. He talked about how the cancel culture tried to get him kicked out of office, attacked his family, attacked his reputation, but he stood firm, he stood strong because he knew that some things are more important than the mob on the left coming after you. He stood for what he believed to be right for the country and for his community, for the Black community. And there's a lot of Black Americans out there who looked at that speech and said, you know what, I can still be connected to my community. I'm not a sellout. I'm not Black like Joe Biden tried to say we were because of voter suppression technique that he engaged in. But I can be proud of what I believe in, like my grandparents taught me, know who I am and whose I am, and still vote for President Trump because of the facts laid out by Senator Scott, the facts laid out by Representative Jones, and the facts laid out by Herschel Walker, who had a personal connection and story for a long time with this president and his family. So I think for independent-minded, free-thinking Black Americans who are trying to figure out, is it Donald Trump or is it Joe Biden? They gave Donald Trump a first look and gave the Republican Party a second look last night, and I think they will continue to do so up until November because when we have more and more Black Americans come out and say, yes, I'm proud of my community, yes, I'm going to fight for my community, but also there's a champion for our community and Donald Trump, I can vote for him.
Okay, Paris Sennard, thank you, as always, for giving us your insight. We really appreciate you waking up early.
Shout out to everybody in the stream. Is there something going on, guys, in the stream that I need to be concerned about? Just, I need you guys to clean it up and pipe down. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So I want to go away from that. I want to go away from that just a second. That actually was not the right clip. However, we're talking about more or less the debate that's coming up. It's going to be VP Pence and Kamala Harris. And of course, Kamala has been, peddling her black card for the last several weeks. And I don't think it's growing on anyone. She kind of just, I don't know. I think she's kind of dangerous, if you want to be honest. Shout out to everybody in the stream. All right. So let me see if I can't quite get to the right thing. But yes, but the thing about it is, let's just talk about Jones for a second, if we might. What is this? What is the obsession? What is this thing about this love affair with the lifelong? When you say you're lifelong, that's quite a bit of a commitment, right? So I'm just thinking, what is he? It kind of makes me concerned about him going forward. How do you have that great of an allegiance, but yet you seem to be, you can't, is it an existence, or is it lifelong? You're lifelong, but you don't agree with fundamentally most things that are going on with the Democrats. Can somebody explain that to me? I don't know. When I talk about lifelong learning, I'm talking about learning, and it's in your and if you think you've learned it all, then you're probably not learning. You've stopped growing, you've stopped progressing. But then when somebody says that politically, that's kind of a limitation, right? You're a lifelong Democrat. That kind of stunts your growth then, right? I don't know. I'm just and I think Vernon Jones, I think he's saying a lot of things, but if you truly believe in what you say, then why wouldn't you be able to change? Why wouldn't you be able to grow beyond? If the Democrats' representation stifles or stunts your growth, why would you reside in that place? Why would you stay there? I just is this how rhinos are made? Is it a full-time allegiance, or what? I don't get that. When people say they're lifelong, that just doesn't jive with me. The logic of it. You're a living and breathing individual, but you're a lifelong Democrat. So does that mean he's never going to switch his affiliation or his representation? He's just going to parrot conservative values all over the place? I don't know, people. I don't know how these things are made. I don't know how are rhinos made? Or is it an amateur rhino? Is that you're giving up the code? You're breaking the code. You're not supposed to say. Shout out to everybody. The native conservative says I'm a lifelong millionaire. I don't get that. I'm laughing, but I'm honest. I'm being genuine. I'm just trying to process. Lifelong is a commitment. So that means no matter what you do politically, you're always going to be a Democrat. That is serious, folks. It is. Hang on, I have it. Yeah, that's serious. I think it's quite serious. I a lifelong learner, and I think that's a good thing. But a party affiliation, that's concerning. I don't know. Is that what they say when they talk about neocons and never Trumpers? Does that mean they're lifelong affiliates of whatever party as well? I don't know. I'm just saying we have enough rhinos, so I just don't know why anybody would hold a banner that says that they're lifelong. Yet I've seen Vernon Jones. As a matter of fact, let's go over to that. Let me show you what's going on with the walkaway. What happened with the walkaway movement, or what's going on? It looks like I'll show you that. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hope you guys are doing well out there. And thank you guys so much for coming in. We're going to do another segment. We're going to have, I think we're going to have we're going to have some guests coming on to the show. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste of walkaway right now, something a little bit up to date. So I think, what is it? The unsilent majority is coming out right now. Is that fair to say? Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Here's a little bit of a raw introduction for you guys. Shout out to everybody in the stream. The native conservative says, according to the Democrats, lifelong can be short AF because of their stance on a. Shout out to you, native conservative. Nice to see you here, without a doubt. All right, so let me go ahead and share some of the business happening out of with the walkaway. My thing is, it's like I don't pledge allegiance to anything specifically when it comes to I support America. So I support those that support America, whether they're across the pond, across the country, whatever their movements are. I actually created a walkaway video. One day I'll share the walkaway video with you guys. I think it was shadow banned, but I don't consider myself a true red pillar because I already had my own stance before the walkaway movement. But it's nice that people are working with a lot more, a bigger framework, and that they're opening their minds and knowing how important things are. So without further ado, here we go.
Okay, and we're at the walkaway event. We're at the walkaway event, and then I got my brother from the West Coast, Lorenzo Lamas.
Renegade's in the house.
Yeah, so all right, so Lorenzo, how you feeling right now about?
I'm feeling so good.
I
just got finished telling Brandon's parents how proud they should be of him.
Yes,
this is a guy that basically created this whole movement.
Yes, he
from
did.
Scratch.
Yes, he did.
No marketing background. He was cutting somebody's hair, and one day said,
"Yeah, freaking hairdresser."
One day he says to himself, "You know what? I'm being treated like shit.
That's right.
Make a difference. I'm gonna speak to people that have been marginalized."
Come on, brother.
And he brought it.
He's
bringing it.
That's right.
I left the ultimate abusive relationship. That's what I did.
Well, Brandon is busy trying to handle some stuff. Lorenzo is going to kill it. I'm going to be speaking soon. But we got some other folks in here. Now, Brandon, you're going to handle your business. Now, I got my brother from Georgia. Hold on, Vernon. Get on up here. Vernon, look at who else we got in the green room.
Hello, America.
Vernon Jones, baby. All right, ATL, Georgia, everything represents. So, brother, how you feeling right now?
Feeling amazing. This is an amazing event. This is a movement. This is not one person.
Come on, brother.
This is a movement. And it's a movement towards saving this country and electing a leader that's going to stand between community and chaos, and that's Donald J. Trump. We need him. Thank you for all your support.
Oh, that's my brother from Georgia representing the A, baby. Okay, and we got David Harris Jr. All right, we got more folks. Hello, young lady.
My name is Katie Hopkins.
Okay, I'm YG Nightstorm.
It's very nice.
And I want to tell you, I have been watching your stuff for years, and I enjoyed you last night. So, Katie, tell everybody in the Nightstorm Nation across the country how you're really feeling right now, how we feeling good about America. We're in good hands with Donald Trump.
We are. The art is a side of joy and laughter and
oh, yeah.
And we have the best people on our side, right? We have the best looking people on our side, too. And we have faith, and we have family, and we have freedom, and we are going to get
4 more years. Amen. Well, sister, God bless you and your family. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk more. God bless you, sister. Okay, we got David Harris Jr., my other brother here, representing. How you feeling right now, dude?
I'm blessed by the best. Can't complain about the rest. Donald Trump is doing well, and he needs his rest. So, you know what? We're going to win this thing. We're having a fun time here. It's going to be an amazing event for Walkaway. So many people are waking up and walking away from the vitriol, the hatred, the bitterness that is so much of the left. And this is the party of joy, peace, love, happiness, and doing things the right way.
Amen to that, brother. See, that's David Harris Jr. representing. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. All right. Now I got 2 more people that I want to talk to. These are very, very special folks. These are the actual parents to Brandon Strug. They kind of brought him into the world. So can you stand up, brother, and introduce yourself, because these are some amazing people.
Hi, I'm Dan, and this is my wife, Mary.
Hi.
And we're celebrating our 50th anniversary
today. Wait a minute, hold on. Hey, guys. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary. So can we sing happy anniversary to them? Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. So I just wanted to share a little bit with you of things that are actually going on in DC. We always see a lot of the negative coverage, and we always see we see a lot of anti-Trump things, but then we don't really see what's going on another level. I think that's another level of patriotism, if you will. And I think that was in DC. I'm pretty sure that was, but I think there's things going on in DC all week, of course. And so yeah, I just want to share a little bit of that with you. I meant to drop the link, so I'm going to drop the link for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to wrap this one up. I appreciate you guys so much for all that you do, and thanks so much for coming in. So we will give you guys a few minutes to decide if you'd like to come in. If you're not comfortable with face, you can of course use your avatar if you would like. So just about 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap up. And yes, please keep in mind that the flash streams will be high. There are high possibilities for flash streams with all the things coming out this week. Also, with just a confluence of everything, the VP debate for Wednesday, and I'm just really stunned that I didn't get the right clip on that. I'm sure it's out there. But I'm just wondering what's coming out if this debate is still going to happen. And I think it's a good assumption that it is important for Pence to, the thing about it is you got to be able to deflect and then get them back onto the subject. You have to be able to do that. So I think that I'm hearing that there's even according to Politico, I do know that there's going to be a 12-foot guideline included for the debates, for the VP debate. And so I'm just going to open this up here. I'm going to go with Politico just for the sake of argument here. However, the debate commission accedes to the Biden campaign's health and safety objectives for the VP debate. And so it looks like Kamala Harris and Mike Pence will be seated 12 feet apart at the event next week instead of 7 feet. So, I don't see why that won't work, but I can just, share that with you really quickly. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hi, Len M. How are you? Thank you so much for coming in. I'll read a couple comments. Old Head Deuce says, laying low election night. Someone's not going to make it. Yeah, everybody's got to choose what's right for them. I know the preferred method for most people would be to vote in person. I know that's preferred. I'm not sure, what that's going. I think early voting has started. I think it has started. But I just think that that for the integrity of this election, I'm just, I'm not convinced that it's going to be smooth. I'm not convinced that there's going to be, champagne toast or whatnot, or wine toast on the same night of this election. I'm not convinced of that. I mean, there's even people that have extended the voting period to 10 days after the election. So with that, I mean, seriously, this thing is being primed for disaster. I mean, I mentioned it yesterday. Like, if this election has the integrity of the coupons in the sale paper, coming out and just mass ballots everywhere, it's really it shows that we're in collapse full on. I mean, it's not something that should be, that I don't think that should be just kind of flying around or just distributed like that. And it's very much it's not a dignified situation. If that's what we're going to, it's probably going to turn people off, and it's probably going to you're going to disenfranchise a lot of people and make people and really remind people of the dangers and how much, where we could potentially go with this thing what direction we're going. We're going in the wrong direction. The fact that that this even came up, this botched situation even came up. It sets a precedent. Not a good one. Not all precedents are good, but this is certainly not one. This is certainly not one of them. Shout out to everybody in the stream. I'm going to do a few shout outs and then we're going to fold it up and pack it in for your Monday. Appreciate everybody so much for coming in, and thank you for taking care with the Channelytics. So, when you come in, I appreciate you guys hitting that thumbs up, thumbs down. And those of you that have thrown the caution to the wind and sharing the stream out, shout out to Chrysler Imperial H and the Native Conservative. Thank you so much for doing that. And keep your eyes peeled for just on location streams, flash streams, moonlight streams. And also I will be putting something out on the VP debate, even if it's not streamed locally here on the Brain channel, then I could very well be on somebody else's channel doing this stream. But we did that for the debate last week. Wow. And it was, we had a great time, and I was so glad to see everybody, and thankful that you guys could come out. So let's give a shout out to everybody in the stream, as well as the loyal patrons, and shout out to the followers on Periscope. Shout out to Celia's I Wanna Be, Lynn M, Philip J. Turner, and Old Head Deuce. I saw you sneak in here. Old Head Deuce, thank you for sneaking in. Philip J. Turner, shout out to you. Shout out to the Native Conservative. Shout out to Celia's I Want to Be. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H. Shout out to Anthony Scioli. Shout out to A Vapor. Nice to see you. Let's see. I think I had Crazy Chick Sheena was here. Shout out to Crazy Chick Sheena. Shout out to the Felicia Lockhart Show, aka the Lockhart Perspective. Thank you so much. Appreciate you so much, Felicia Lockhart and the Lockhart Perspective. As I encourage you guys, even though this is not a grow stream, to get to know each other around here. We've got some of the best content creators on the planet, on the conservative planet, or the constitutional conservative planet, or however you want to spin it. We have some of the best. Shout out to Patrick Jane Forums and Killer Whale Channels. Thank you so much for coming out. Thanks so much for all that you do to support the channel. You guys, please get to know each other around here. You might find a kindred spirit. Just go on over, walk on over. Shout out to JT Waterman. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and coming in. Shout out to the Troll for Me, baby, too. Thank you for coming in from Periscope. And it looks like that. Shout out to the Definition of Anarchy. Definition was in earlier today. I really appreciate all of you guys so much for coming in. So we're going to find out. I think this week is going to be nothing short of eventful and definitely dynamic, maybe even more dynamic than the last week. So I'm sure we'll be keeping an eye on the developing stories, including the president's status and the treatments that he's receiving, or if it looks like he might be on the verge of a release. I'm not sure. I don't want to put that out there. But of course, there's two narratives going on there. The left narrative and the right narrative. It is so sad that, that the press lacks veracity, just without a doubt. Just absolutely without a doubt. So it's interesting enough. And we will see what happens with the president's status. I know a lot of people are rooting for Trump. People from all over the world. In fact, people as far, of course, the neighbors to the north, and even in France, was quite stunned. People are rooting for Trump to turn this thing around, and they've said they've spoke to his strength, and they're ready to go. They're ready to see this thing. They're ready to see the action and to see the victory. So I'm thinking that a second debate would be, I think he has another opportunity to really lay things out and really just kind of flick the dust off when it comes to his eye, comes near the eye from Joe Biden. Flick that projection dust right off your shoulder. And hopefully he's got some coach working with him, maybe they're playing the video back from the previous. I don't know what the debate prep is, but I think, they need to, they could work on that a little bit. I think Kayleigh McEnany I think she redirects really well. So the redirection is where I think they need to focus and just stay on topic and just let him talk. But when it's your 2 minutes, make sure you get all of your points in. I mean, I'm not saying that he can't get digs in, but I'm saying 1 minute 30 on I think they had 2 minute segments. I think for you need to land more policy framework and yes, lay it out and give and less, so 30 seconds liners or something. Practice your 30-second liners or digs practice those, but really practice staying on subject. And I think he's lived much of what he's lived through this presidency and all of the events, and he's got a lot more to work with. I mean, he did one of the most powerful things that he has said, and people don't really understand the scope of it when he says, I've done more in 47 months than this guy has done in 47 years. Well, they don't understand the scope of that because he doesn't get the opportunity to have those accomplishments or the work exposed. He doesn't get an opportunity to expose all of that. He gets projection. He's had projection for almost 4 years. So that's why I'm saying he needs to try not to waste any more of that trading and volume with Biden. Because Twitter was the direct line, which some people might think of as a reactionary direct line. But in this case, it's a definitely different format, a different platform, and definitely a high risk. It's a big opportunity. So thank you guys so much and have a great rest of your Monday. And if there's a chance that there's something going on, I will see you guys around later. Have a great rest of your Monday. And shout out to the loyal patrons, Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, Let the Truth Be Told, Cold War Jesus, and AZ Infidel. Thanks, guys.